I completely spaced that exit. I mean, I was in my own mind, yeah, I'd be in Mexico by now. Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I'm back with another epic road trip. This time we're going to go 2,000 miles across 4 different states. We're going to very quickly go from Seattle down to Medford, Oregon, and then we're going to cut over to Reno, Nevada, stay at a massive casino, do some video game hunting, and explore that city a bit. After that, we head to the Sacramento, California area to visit a brand new retro gaming expo, as well as take in some of the local sights. After that, we're going to meander over to the Pacific coast and we're going to weave our way along such beautiful coastline. We're going to pop into Coos Bay and end the trip in Portland, Oregon. This series of videos is going to have a little bit of everything. We're going to do some sightseeing, we're going to be hunting for video games and music, and there's lots of adventure on that open road. You guys are going to love this, so let's take a look. I don't know about you guys, but I love a good road trip. Getting in the car on the open road and just seeing what happens. And on this trip with me, I've got my wife, Rebecca, who's sitting in the co-pilot seat there, running the camera most of the time out the window. And then I've also got my buddy, Scott.
Tell us how you met with Metal Jesus.
Well, I used to work at a Volkswagen dealer and sold him the sweet GTI he's driving. Now I'm at a Porsche dealer in Seattle. Big car guy, so is he, so we kind of hit it off and on the music and video games and all that.
Yeah, you guys share quite a few things in common. Yeah. Scott also likes a lot of cool, what are some of the cool concerts you've been to that you think are your highlights?
Lots of alternative rock, electronic. Took Metal Jesus to a Kiss show. That's one of his favorite
Yeah, what'd you
bands.
think of that?
It was sweet. It was at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. They always put on a show. It was sweet. It was my first and only time seeing him, but I'm glad we did.
Awesome.
You may have seen Scott before on my channel. He's been in a couple videos, and he's the one who sold me my car just a couple years ago, and he showed up for this road trip in a pretty sweet car himself.
Why did you decide to trust Metal Jesus and come on this road trip with us?
Why wouldn't I? My brother's down there, so I can do 2 things. You know, we're gonna meet up with him down there. He's in Oakland, so that'll be fun too. He's gonna meet up with us when we get there.
Yeah.
And I've never been on a road trip from Washington all the way to California. I've been wanting to make this drive for a while. We're gonna hit the Oregon coast on the way back, and I've been meaning to do that for a while. Just got this new car as well, so
Yeah, it's a great car.
looking forward
When are you gonna
to
hear that?
testing it out.
Yeah.
Some fun windy roads on the coast.
So what is the make and model of this car?
It's a BMW M3. The best part about it is the manual.
Yeah, it's so manual. I know, that's pretty awesome.
But yeah, when I sold Jason his car, I made sure it was going to be a manual.
Yeah, exactly. Manuals are a lot more fun to drive for sure.
Now they don't even make a manual in that car he has now, so
I know.
I'm glad
that's
I got it
hard.
to him.
Yeah, for sure.
And on this trip, we're going to a bunch of places that I have not been to before, and we're going to start this trip in Medford, Oregon. That's a good location for us because you can easily kind of get down to Reno, Nevada. That's our goal for the first leg of this trip. And that's about a 5-hour drive from Medford to Reno. And you're going across all these winding mountain roads. It gets beautiful. You're kind of changing the scenery a little bit. And speaking of mountains, check out Mount Shasta. Wow, this was so cool driving down the road and seeing this off in the distance and just getting closer and closer. For about 30 minutes, this was our view. And it was absolutely amazing. And I think I remember visiting Mount Shasta as a kid. I mean, really young. I think with my aunt and uncle back in the day, we went to Mount Shasta. So I haven't seen it in decades, literally. And yeah, it did not disappoint. And these roads are a great time to test out our cars on these open roads. You know, again, I live in the city, and so often I don't really get to just kind of drive for hours at a time. And this was such an amazing little start to our trip, although it's kind of funny because for a while I was actually alone in my car while Rebecca was in Scott's, and I spaced it. I was looking out the window so much I completely missed an exit and just blew right past it. And they had to message me and say, "Hey dude, where are you going?" Yeah, it's kind of a problem of mine. It's like I'll just drive and, you know, not even pay attention. So I'm not the most observant driver. I definitely do need a co-pilot sometimes. I completely spaced that exit. I mean, I was in my own mind, yeah, I'd be in Mexico by now. Despite that little setback, we did eventually roll into Reno, and it's interesting because I've been to Las Vegas quite a bit actually, but never to Reno, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. I'd heard that Reno is kind of a more mellow version of Las Vegas, which I'm totally cool with. Pulling in here and checking out our hotel, we're staying at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino, which is a little bit outside of downtown, so it kind of stands on its own, but it is massive. And the view outside of our hotel, you can kind of see downtown Reno right there. So we're definitely a good distance away. Now, the interesting thing about this resort and casino is that they really design it for you to stay there because you can gamble and all this sort of stuff. But what I was mostly interested in is that there's a couple floors where they have stores. It's almost like a mall, but they also have a bunch of arcades and they've got a bowling alley. I've heard that you are an expert bowler. You hate to brag.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of this, so.
All right.
Let's see.
It has been quite a few years since I've gone bowling, and I'm not really that great at it, but honestly, I don't care. It's just all for fun, right? Yeah, so this is cool. We played a couple rounds of bowling, and it's funny because Scott was definitely better than all of us. Actually, he bowled pretty well in the beginning there. He took an early lead, and then Rebecca had a bunch of good, strikes as well. So I was still trying to gain my rhythm a little bit. It's funny because Scott was suddenly kind of snacky and hungry, and we couldn't find him at first. And so we're kind of like looking over there, trying to figure out where he is. Oh, he's over by the food stall. Scott is getting food, and he doesn't know it's his turn.
It's his turn right there.
So I'm gonna play for him.
Oh, honey. Jason played for you.
You're right. Doing great, Scott. Doing great. Yeah,
Dude.
Nothing. Yeah. Man, that sucks. Dude, that hurts, huh? Oh, I'm up. Cool. Go for me? What? You just all do what? Maybe. You want to go for me?
I think he should.
He's not better.
That was awesome.
Yeah, once he caught on, I decided to try to make it fair and use the kiddie slide. But in the end, it didn't help. He still kicked our butts. So that was definitely a fun night. The next day, I wanted to get out into the city and do some video game and music hunting. And the first recommendation I got from people was to check out Captain Games. Guys, we're in Reno. Well, actually, it's technically Sparks. I'm not entirely sure how all that works, but I've been told to come check out Captain Games. And it looks like it's pretty big. As you can see here, this is a pretty big store with a lot of selection. I mean, they pretty much just have everything you would probably be looking for. You know, obviously a lot of the really popular stuff like PlayStation 4, PS5, Xbox, Switch, all that stuff. One of the highlights here is that they have a PlayStation 2 and a PSP development kit. That is not something you see every day. I love seeing these things right here, even though they're really not that practical right anymore. Because I don't think you can actually buy one of these and develop games with it necessarily, but it is a cool piece of history. Also, this employee who does the repairs at the shop showed me this. He called it his ultimate GameCube, and all these different modifications that he did for it, including an SD mod, so you can put actually ROMs on this, but yet it doesn't remove the optical drive. So you can still use original media here, or you can use this SD mod. He also installed a custom battery pack as well as an HDMI modded attached screen on the top there. It also has a wireless controller, plus he's got the Game Boy player on there. I mean, this was pretty impressive. When he calls this the ultimate GameCube, yeah, I agree with him. In addition to the video games, they also had a couple pinball machines, and this KISS pinball machine was calling my name. I would love to put one of these in my game room. I just don't have the room for it. Plus, they're kind of expensive. So when I do see these out and about, I will always play them. And yeah, I'm not great at pinball, but I don't care. I still have fun doing it. And overall, this is a pretty cool store. I can see why people come here. The owner and the employees were super nice in here. The owner specifically was kind of talking my ear off. He was so passionate about video games and collecting, and also the local community. So that was really fun talking to him. However, this is not the only game store in the area. We are in Carson City, which is about 30 minutes from Reno, and I've been told that this place is pretty cool. We're at Retro Replay Games, so let's take a look. And so we drove out there, and yeah, I can see why. So yes, this is definitely a smaller store than, Captain Games, but I gotta tell you, immediately I could tell this was really well stocked and really well organized. Everywhere I looked, I saw something really cool. And I was able to find a couple games I was really excited for. I'm actually going to share all of that with you at the end of this video, so you're definitely going to want to stay tuned till the end of it. But overall, I was very impressed with Retro Replay. Yes, it's a smaller store, but I actually think that the quality of games that they have in there is really high. This was a highly recommended store, and if you live in the area, you're definitely going to want to check it out. The next thing that we wanted to do while in this area is drive about an hour south and check out Lake Tahoe. That's one of those lakes that you hear all the time about, right? But I don't know anything about it. And so while I'm in the area, Rebecca and I were like, yeah, let's take the drive down to Lake Tahoe. And, because we've heard just how beautiful and massive this lake is. And wow, it did not disappoint. Now, I've heard that a lot of people use Lake Tahoe as their annual family vacation. And I can totally see why you would want to do that, because pretty much everywhere we looked, it was absolutely gorgeous. Now, we explored around Kings Beach, which has this really small town vibe to it. I was totally digging it. It's got this 2-lane road through the center of town. It doesn't feel it's not overly crowded. There is definitely people there because it's obviously summer, but I was digging, again, the small town vibe of it. To me, it really reminded me of Lake Chelan in eastern Washington. So if you're from, the Pacific Northwest, maybe you know where that is. Small town, beautiful lake, gorgeous scenery, and I was getting all that from Lake Tahoe. Going back into Reno, we wanted to check out downtown a little bit and see that famous Reno sign. Now, when we were originally there, it was the afternoon, and it was definitely very mellow. I was kind of surprised because, again, I'm used to Vegas, right? And the crazy, just energy of Vegas. And I wasn't getting that initially in Reno until the night came along. And, you know, when it got nighttime, and that Reno sign was lit up, you could tell, oh, okay, everyone kind of came out, and that sort of part of town really came alive. And so we explored down there a little bit, and that was very cool. But when we got back to the casino, we hit up the arcades again, and Scott and I were playing some Cruise and Blast, the arcade version. He had never played that before. I was telling him, oh man, it's on Switch, and it's so awesome. And to play the arcade version is really fun. And then we also did a couple of the shooting games as well. The other recommendation I got from a lot of people is to check out the Reno Public Market. Specifically, there's a store in there, or I guess maybe it's a group of stores called Junkie. And specifically, it's a clothing and exchange as well as an antique area. And when we went in there, I saw very quickly why people recommended this. There is tons of funky, cool collectibles in here. I very quickly found these heavy metal comic books. Never seen these before, and some of my favorite bands like Opeth and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. So this was a pretty cool find. And this was a cool place to explore, you know, because it goes way beyond just video games and music. There's entire sections dedicated to pop culture, collectibles, action figures, lunch boxes, clothing, and just a ton more. It really reminds me of the antique malls that we have in the Seattle area. I've did several videos on them on my channel. And basically this is a place where just multiple small vendors, you and me or anybody, really can just bring their stuff to sell in one place. And so you never know what you're going to expect. The inventory is always changing. And so if you have one of these in your area, you definitely want to check it out because you can get some good deals there and you never know what you're going to find. Which brings me to the games that I picked up on this particular part of the trip, and I'm going to start with Groove Rider Slot Car Thunder for the GameCube. This is not an expensive game, but it's one that I don't typically see, and so I wanted to pick it up because it's fairly unique in that it is a racing game with slot cars. And so that's a little bit different than almost every other racing game you will play because, again, your car is in a slot. And that makes it kind of interesting. It also reminds me of my childhood because my dad used to actually collect and race slot cars in real life. So I picked this up, as well as the professional edition of Hitman Absolution. And depending on your point of view, you either like this game or you hated this game. And it's my experience that most of the hardcore Hitman fans didn't like it. I'm sorry. I actually really enjoyed this game. I loved how they did something a little bit different here, where they kind of mixed in Quentin Tarantino grindhouse style visuals and storytelling. I just thought it was really cool and love that game. I have the normal version of it, but I didn't have this particular one where it's got the extra Blu-ray of bonus content as well as the art book and some other digital things that you can get as well. So I had to pick that one up. So, what's next on the agenda? Well, after this, we are going to head down to Sacramento, California area for the Fire and Ice Retro Gaming Expo. I'm going to show you 2 days of that gaming expo, and I have to be honest with you, I got a ton of really cool stuff there. Stuff you've probably never seen before, as well as we're going to visit a store called The Cave, which frankly blew our minds. Scott's going to go to a baseball game and we're going to do some sightseeing around the area. And so that's going to come up in the next video. And then after that, we're going to head over to the Oregon coast. And man, you're not going to want to miss those views. It's going to be glorious. And so guys, that's the first part of my road trip video. So stay tuned, be subscribed because part 2 is coming next week. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Take care.